Well, it says I'm live. So I guess I am.
How come it still says, oh, there we, no, now you are. How come it still says your bit rate is not right? That should go away, shouldn't it?
I don't know.
Maybe it will.
We'll go see if anything's happening, if you can hear me. Live 35 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, here I am. How's that sound? Yeah, I am talking. I'm supposed to be talking. Is it working? All right, well, that's fine.
Yeah, but there's a delay, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to listen to you on the mic, I'm talking to you.
Hey,
Yeah,
Baltimore Fats is saying he can hear me loud and clear. Cool.
Yeah.
My brother and Baltimore Fats can hear me loud and clear. Great. Hey, Balt, how are you doing? I have an eclectic video tonight, Balt, about the east coast of Massachusetts. So I'm going to play that. And then I might do some live commentary on some other stuff. Depends on how long we all want to hang out. Whoever all is, right? I got to partake in my festivities, you know. But so I guess I'm going to start this video. I'm going to stay on the mic. So if anybody wants to have a conversation or say anything about the stuff they see, I'll be here. Excuse me. I'll be here. Oh, your next one. Yeah, well, Massachusetts is a freaky place. Scary, spooky. So here we go.
Where did it all begin? Why are we here? Who are we? Where do we come from? What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Mysteries of the Realm. So the Scituate Lighthouse. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is have a little history lesson because I want you to know where I am historically on the east coast of... Can you hear the video? Scituate, Massachusetts, New England. This will be the non-fiction account by the inheritors. The War of 1812 was fought by the United States against the United Kingdom. Canada is getting invaded by three factions herself. The United States declared war on Britain in 1812, June 18th, while trying to capture Canadians. So 1812 is fought over British violations of U.S. maritime rights. The Brits wanted territories not under their control to carry receipt documents of a tax paid to trade. The Americans wanted civil rights and charges brought against the British Navy for kidnapping deckhands while acting as a mariner. Basically, British military warships would maraud American mariners on trade routes, depriving Americans of liberty as soon as they became mariners of the sea. British would not invoke the rule, law of the land, to American mariner vessels. But our independence is already 30 years old, right? And I thought we abolished British law rule for American territories with our independence. I guess the shelf life of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the ratifications in 1791 was short-lived, huh? Mysteries of the realm. So this 1812 lasted 3 years. Ironically and allegedly, America refused to invoke the same rights to Canada it was seeking from the British Navy. And the results for Canada, who beat us up in Detroit, Lake Erie, and near New York, and a stalemate everywhere else, yeah, Canada, they would split from American territory law permanently. I gotta do some edits. Now, if you ask me, these images depict the same visual and conjuring of the revolution. If this war didn't have an alleged date attached to it, I think I was looking at the Revolutionary War pictures. It's just an observation. New England, Massachusetts did not fight in this war, it just supplied the efforts. And by a few accounts, as far as the narrative goes, America lost this war, with the final burning of Washington, D.C. Yeah, so the British used torches and gunpowder paste to set fire to the Capitol. They left it a burned out shell. The Senate building, the House of Representatives, the Library of Congress, the Supreme Court, along with irreplaceable records. Yeah, in 1812. How convenient. James Madison was our president. For the duration of this conflict, he ended the war by 1815, signing a treaty with the British commissioners in Gwent, Netherlands, Ghent, Gent. I'm not sure. Okay, so we're going to deviate for a moment. Madison has a long list of memorials dedicated to him and many statues around the American territories. So, you know, I'm just thinking, wondering, analyzing these photos, right? This is the father of the Constitution, and it's on display at the Library of Congress. This statue was made in 1974. And maybe it was because this big block here isn't evidence of the old world masters. That civilization would have just made the chair sturdy enough to hold the weight, right, of the statue. It's simply atypical of the way they did things. Of course, this statue could also be heavily altered from its original, right, because it doesn't have that classic blockwork base that the old world statues, structures, and monuments are always built on. On the other hand, from this angle, this has that human movement that's so present in the old world art, right? It might be just the lighting and the angle. I don't know if it has the same life or art style as this depiction of him at Princeton University Library. This, in my opinion, is an old world statue. And it doesn't look anything like James Madison, so I doubted it. And here we have our Massachusetts sculpture doing work on the 1974 model. I don't know if this is the original or something. One other question I have is, why are we building statues of giants? These sculptures of 1700 historic figures, even the Indians, have a different stature than the marble people, right? Yet we build in a fashion that our civilization cannot relate to. I mean, we're not huge. It just makes no sense. Back to our regular scheduled programming. We don't know if this 1812 war adventure is accurate, right? One thing that's interesting is You know, think of the vast distances that each army and navy are traveling to fight this war. The logistics of this five-faction war is mind-numbing. And I say five factions, I'll get to that. You know, don't forget 1812, this civilization has to walk everywhere or sail back and forth to Europe, relying solely on excellent wind conditions every time. And let's not forget what we looked like in 1812. So a few images here. So the strange concoction of this war ended in a draw for everyone. All the territories and country were told in the treaty to carry on with all rules applied before the conflict. What? Do you believe that? Because I don't believe that. Of course, there's an aberrance, right? Except for the Indians, who were pushed back yet again. They had to stay out of all the territories that they were driven from. And Canada agreed. They didn't like their Indians either. By the way, I find it a little difficult to believe that the American Indian and the Canadian Indian are identical, even down to the canoes. This is mysteries of the realm. Now remember, the British and the Americans in North America were already in a massive war since the 1600s with the Indians. Most of this time frame, the Indians on this land were also in an all-out clash with Spain. How in the world do all these factions have the infrastructure and alchemy and industry to have conflict non-stop? I mean, they have to resupply and kit up so many soldiers that have to walk everywhere. Everyone has to walk everywhere, or ride a horse, okay, so even still, that's, I don't know. You know, the whole research and development phase of all these war toys is burnt flapjacks. You know, I don't think our current civilization could keep all this tech running this efficiently. Right, for this long. How long is this gonna be? Holy moly. So I want to point out that the statues that are on the screen right now are 4 marble statues at the Smithsonian National American Indian Museum. And it's ridiculous to believe that these represent anything the Indians associated with their culture, religion, or lifestyle, unless we aren't educated about who these people actually were. And of course, they're giants, right? Again, with the giant sculptures. Reading between the lines, I don't think this war took place. I personally don't know who the Americans are, and I mentioned this before. American Indian is a term that arose after the conflicts. In the old accounts of early territory wars, allegedly, the description of the combatants are as follows: Americans, whites, Europeans, and Indians. I don't know, right? So that's what I was talking about, the 5 factions. Gee, I hope that was interesting. Okay. So I went on the Oracle for some other stuff. There are no population records of Scituate before 1850. About 2,000 folks. No surprise there. In 1640, there were approximately 60 houses in all of Scituate, including the bay. Some historical sites claim 12 houses were destroyed in the King Philip's War of 1676. The majority of the folks who survived that packed up and moved to Rhode Island. So what does all this have to do with a lighthouse? Well, in 1810 this lighthouse was erected and it took 1 year to complete. How many people were living in Scituate in 1810? Let's give them about 800 so we can be generous. Now, how many of those 800, 1,000 folks are engineers and fabricators who knew how to superstruct technasmia? Lighthouses are a classified structure, making it an electronic architecture. So EE architecture refers to the convergence of electronics, software, and wiring into one integrated system. So that's interesting, right? Let's ask the Oracle a couple of questions. What is the history of EE architecture? what's the first invention to use this integrated system? The Oracle won't give us anything before 1950 saying that it was automotive cruise control that was responsible for the first integrated electronical and mechanical system developed. Now, I went to the patent office to look. Obviously, there are many electronic systems, but even those only go back to about 1831. And I'm just giving the Oracle, you know, the benefit of the doubt here, because this 1831 narrative is Joseph Henry's story and not the history or the inventing or the inventor of a classified structure, such as EE architecture. So we, as a society, can't get a mainstream narrative as to the technasmia called EE architecture. Now I'm going to fancy that most of the old world architecture in the realm was constructed as such a device. Even the universities don't teach classified systems in the form of electrical electronic architecture. The Oracle obfuscates the term electrical electronic architecture and changes the search criteria to the term electrical engineer. And yes, they both have EE in them, so why don't I get both? Well, I'm not sure why this whole classified integrated system is not represented on the Oracle. One last try at the wiki, and here's our result. All I can say is I rarely bump into any subject that isn't saturated with information on the Oracle, or online, or the internet, whatever you want to call it. But here all we get is a definition and then not much else. Not even the mention of a lighthouse, by the way. It seems at the moment that this tech is invented by nobody and magically appeared in the auto industry in 1950. All right, so the question is, where are the years of R&D and university curriculum of these classified structured systems? I mean, it has to have an infrastructure to be an industry, right? It's mysteries of the realm. Of course, I can only report what the Oracle gives me, and it isn't much. And if someone can direct me to something I'm missing, then you can cash me outside. How about that? Okay, guys, so which company built this lighthouse? Well, the narrative is that three men from Hingham, Massachusetts, which is Scituate, Massachusetts' neighbor, are responsible for it. No company, of course. You know, in 1810, you don't need a company to do things. Too many regulations to follow, right? Can't be bothered with that. So upon further investigation, I found that the three men only claim to have built the house that's attached to the lighthouse. And that house, that could be a video all on its own. So I went looking for the architect of this technasmia, but all I could find was a puff of smoke. Okay, so I got to jump in here and say that 7 months ago, when I started this video, this information was not here. Now we have an AI overview. That's how far we've come in 7 months. I have, you know, I searched for the architects, but there was nothing. But now we have, let's see. Now we have, so you can see, right? Here we have the architects of the lighthouse, right? So we're going to look at these guys. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at Charles Gill. So let's go. So which one is Charles Gill? So I took the oldest looking ones, right? I guess that's logical. So the first one we get is Charles Gill. He's not born in time. 1811 we're talking about. You see these dates. The next one, 1871. He's not even, are you kidding? So here's the third one, still not born in time, right? He can't possibly have anything to do with it. Now we got Nathan Gill. I'll go back real quick so you don't think I'm Nathan Gill, right? Nathan Gill Jr. So you're going to tell me that this is a representation of his architectural lifestyle? All right, you know, whatever. So now we got the father of them all, Joseph Hammond. Ready for this? Unless that's him. Here we go. So, what do you guys, burnt flapjacks or what? What do you think? Okay, so where does the Situate Lighthouse fit into all this? Well, there's no answer. No, this whole video stems from me going out to the Situate Bay and casing the joint like an old world detective. So I took some video. But it's so fascinating, I just want to keep going, but it's getting tricky out here. And we're going to watch that. But my main question about these places is where or who do rock jetties come from? And of course, this is the same thought that I always had when I'd go to Hull, Massachusetts, you know, Nantasket Beach. So let's take a quick deviation for another mystery of the realm. So the images on the screen are not being specifically addressed, but they are Oracle results of Paragon Park in Hull, Massachusetts. So yeah, we had a World's Fair right here in old Norumbega, or formerly known as. But they didn't have an extravagant event to open this particular World's Fair. It was opened on Saturday, June 10th, 1905, in this amusement park of the old world. I don't know, right? Covered 10 acres, but to me that seems small in comparison to some of the research I've done about this place. So we'll have to leave that there for now. So this place had it all: lagoons, canals, giant walls, fountains, statues, castles, trolleys, moving sidewalks, glowing structures, ballroom dancing, hot dogs, whale bones, sausage, fried dough, and ice cream. They even had their own version of the Johnston Flood Building. Right now, the Oracle wants me to have the impression that this place was built in a year. And guys, this amusement park was difficult to get rid of. It was lit on fire so many times, I got bored of reading. One of the first destruction attempts bestowed on this place was quietly getting rid of the moving boardwalks, the ferry, the train, the trolley stations, and probably airship moorings before this joint was opened. Because I speculate that the inheritors dumbed down this place significantly, so it would look like the marble people did it. It's frickin' brilliant. So the park had this Skylark ride. Now you tell me if it's crazy, but was this the disembarking of the passengers from the blimp tower? You know, to descend into the park? What an elegant way to enter the amusements. Someone decided to board up the water source inside the amusement park. Yeah, they knocked out the main fountain and the underground ride, claiming to be and billed as full of remarkable things. Then they just threw wood decking over the canals and lagoons and repurposed these as the boardwalks. By 1923, the inheritors burnt down the original, largest roller coaster in the world, says the narrative, and it held that record for 8 years. Personally, I think they burnt down half this coaster before the marble folks got brought around there, claiming that this was its construction of 1917. But I believe it was there in 1905 and far before that even. See, that's what I'm talking about, the acreage of this place, you know, whether it's accurate or not. Right. So I'm just suggesting that the ye old entrance to this place was gone before 1905. So I think this place was much bigger. The more information I dig up, the smaller the narrative wants us to assume this footprint was. Even back when it was a regular hangout for my acquaintances. I mean, I doubt I had a date that didn't end up in the parking lot of the beach. Yeah, this place was right on the beach. One of the best laid out beaches, in my opinion. You know, it was more like a hangout spot than a sandy beach, although there was plenty of that as well. But you know, this place kept getting smaller and less exciting. Now we'll never know if this place was old world or what. I could be wrong, but I assume nobody is or was questioning Paragon Park, because there were no old world detectives, right, to shine a spotlight on it. Of course, one isn't going to get many more answers because we haven't had that spirit here since 1984. Yeah, they sold the whole kit and caboodle to developers in 1984. Just like countless other cities everywhere that have the same majestic grounds right in their own neighborhood, or did at one time. You know, my brother said one time, Paragon Park has been eviscerated, yet no cataclysmic event, no mud flood, no fires, no new inheritors, not even that much time. It's just gone, taken away. You know, and that about sums it up, really. So I conclude that still, after all this time and all this research, we still don't know much. But I, for one, love the mystery. And I'm still going to get out there and show you guys why, to me, rock beaches and rock jetties are fascinating. And we're going to get to the Scituate Jetty videos very soon. But first I want you to hear a fascinating tale that is profoundly associated with the lighthouse, Massachusetts, and its rock jetties. So this story is ripped right from the Inheritor's Superior side of view. So now is it me, or is this title mocking the reader right from the get-go? Harper's New Monthly Magazine, published 1878. The story was told by its chief heroine, Rebecca Bates. In April 1811, Captain Simon Bates was the lightkeeper at the time, and it was he who was first who lit the light. An English frigate was sent to Scituate Harbor to set fire to vessels in the wharf. And of course, these guys towed a couple, they stole some stuff, right? And then they threatened to firebomb the place, right? Because they said, when we come back, we're going to do the same thing. So after this event, the Home Guard of Scituate was formed, but on this particular evening, the guards were sent away to tend their gardens. Well, how nice. Rebecca was 18, and her sister Abigail was 14. So the tale goes that they were boiling water for 11 kinfolk, and out the window they see the English ship coming into the harbor. Rebecca knew exactly which ship was out there lowering its rowboats. It was the LaHue, she gasped. So what, pray tell, do you think these two concocted? And these two children hid in the bushes with a fife and a drum playing Yankee Doodle Dandy. Apparently they scared the marauders so much that the men fell overboard because they spun their rowboats around so quickly. And, they had to settle down because they were laughing so hard that they almost got caught. Yeah, they laughed their way right into the history books, right? Because that's, again, we get this mocking thing, right? So, I don't know if this is some man on the moon shit. You really have to stretch your imagination on this one, right? Now give due to the fact that a couple of writers on the Oracle have preferred this as a legend. Okay, that's good, but curiously not officialdom. Now, they don't use that language with their tales of American territories. We got plaques and reenactments and movies and books and interviews. This whole thing is supposed to be the history of Scituate, Massachusetts. Of course, we can't have an official story without the flapjacks burning. Remember earlier in the video? The official account is that the east coast of New England did not participate in the War of 1812. But this tale of bravery against the marauders contradicts that aspect of the narrative. So which part of this nonsense is fiction? Now that's a good segue into the rock jetty videos of Scituate Bay. Let's go!
Where did it all begin? Why are we here? Who are we? Where do we come from? What does it all mean? Where did it all begin? Why are we here?
And there's my live stream. How was that? Now I have the Scituate videos about me checking out that place. If you guys want to see them, we can. Okay, so I'm going to turn down the sound a bit on these and just sit here while we watch, cause what's going on here? Hold on. I'm sorry. I should have turned off the microphone. I mean, not the microphone. But live is live. So I went down there with a camera to check out some rock jetties. And all I can say is these rocks are fascinating. What's that, Balt? I'm not sure what you're saying. See these little holes right here? I did a bunch of research. That's not from a tractor or like a winch pulling it or the steel grip, you know, from a caterpillar or whatever you want to call, you know, giant machinery. That's not what that is. I don't actually know where anyone would get that from, but that's what I always thought they were growing up. I always thought they were peculiar. But that was the explanation that I got at one time. So I don't know if anybody else thinks that. But that's what I thought. Oh, I got you, Balt. I don't think there's much to hear, but look at this rock. What is this? What is this place? Where did all these giant rocks come from? These are massive. Look at. Oh, they're natural. We make bridges out of rocks. Who does? I don't know. Is this a pulverized city? Is somebody with some serious tech put it all in a pile? That's all I can come up with. I don't understand. Because as we move along and see more strangeness than you can possibly imagine with these rocks, I don't know what those lines are. Services, part of the destruction process, part of the building process. Some of it, when we see more, you'll notice that there's like facades and layers. It's pretty like this. What is this? I'm sure someone has an explanation, but this is just too consistent throughout the whole thing. I could pause the video every second and say, take a look, take a look, take a look, because of course I've seen them 100 times. And there's stuff that's going by that you don't even see or recognize. But I watched them and watched them, so, you know. But I don't know, natural? What's natural rock? Look at this. That's natural? Not really sure about that. It's on a way bigger scale than the cemetery walls, right? But it's kind of the same thing. Like, what was this? No, Balt, there isn't much about this whole thing. You know, they gloss over where this all came from. You know, I can do a search right now and see if the AI changes what it told me before. But, you know, getting information on how you make a rock jetty, nothing. There's a video of them moving some rocks with a tractor or a backhoe, whatever you want to call it, right? I mean, they had to specially make this thing for it. So you got to question how did this stuff get moved here? We don't do this. We've had to make special equipment. If we've had to make special equipment, where's all the equipment that did this? This is insane. This is massive. Look how small that lady is compared to these rocks. As a matter of fact, when I was a little kid, my father took me out here, my brother and I, and he would look between the rocks and find tunnels and have us crawl through. And then one day we were going out there with him, right? And I was all excited because I thought I was going to do it again. And when we got there, he was like, no, you can't do that. You're too big. So I quickly outgrew it. It wasn't like a lifetime thing. But one time when I was little, we went out here and I crawled. I was small enough to take little tunnels through. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, look at this. I mean, like I said, I could pause it every 30 seconds because it's I don't know what's going on. You know, someone might have an argument, oh, it's just a bunch of rocks thrown up there. Get out of here. That's not what's going on here. This is a damn castle or something, torn to pieces, literally. Or I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. But that's all I could think of, like a giant wall, a giant castle. Like, what was this before it was natural rock? Look at that one right there that I walk over. Look at this. What? Have it your way. Is that Burger King or McDonald's? I don't know. Look at the shape of this thing. I mean, all you can do is just sit here and watch this and marvel at it and ponder, what the heck am I looking at? What are we looking at? Are those bricks? Is this all bricks? Is that what these, excuse me, these scratch marks are? We're looking at facading on these. I don't know. It's just bizarre. It's beyond bizarre. Clearly. I mean, I don't know. I can't see it any other way. But I'm open to the possibility that I'm wrong and everything we've been told about this is the truth, which isn't much. Look at this. Say what? I mean, you can't help but just say, like, whatever this was, it was manufactured, because that's not. I don't know what to say. All you can do is, like I said, all I can do is look at it and go and question, what am I looking at? What am I actually looking at? That looked like it has a facading on it, right? See the yellow and the white is, that's why I zoomed into it. There's a lot of that going on. Are you kidding, right? They claim that they were sourced from Carver, Massachusetts, which isn't too far from here, following a 78 storm. So they're expecting you to believe a lot of stuff washed up. So check out how this is, right? Are those bricks? Is that a layer of bricks separating? You know, because this wall or whatever it is is extremely thick. Anyway, that's the end of that first one. I have a few more. And as far as they're concerned, the kind of rocks that were readily available, they basically don't have any records of that anymore. So, you know, where can you go with that? That's why it's a mystery to me, the Nantasket Beach in Scituate. You know, it's always been a question of mine from a very young age. What are these? What is going on, you know? This is Nantasket Beach really you know, raised my eyebrows. I didn't know what to think of it, of course. We didn't have old world detectives back then, right? So you didn't go pointing everything out to everybody. But yeah, so that's that one. You want to let's see. Yeah, they look like rumbles of old buildings for sure. Not only in Dublin, we have the same problem here, right in the United States, where we're supposed to have all this money. We don't maintain jack. And if anything's really, really good, the next time it needs service, the servicemen don't even know what that system is, so they replace it. I watched them do it to so many houses out here on the East Coast. Oh, it's a terrible thing. So if you guys want to look at some more rocks, we could do that. Yeah, I agree, Bolt. Something's going on. Something clearly fascinating is going on. And obviously, the building structure is beyond. That's why it's gone, right? We couldn't see this in Situate, Massachusetts. The Pilgrims were supposed to land around here. That's why I went into all that stuff. 1800s, the Situate lighthouses, the 1810s. You know, we're supposed to have be in a giant war, and they're building Technasme on the end of a man-made beach. That's insane. I love it. So we'll start off here. Look at that, right? What does that remind you of? Does that you get in close for a minute? See how they look like the bricks are segmented like they would be with mortar? I mean, I'm not trying to push a narrative. I just think that I was out there, I saw a lot more than I captured because it got dangerous. And these people are going to talk, so I'm going to shut this down. I hope they're not on camera too much. Look at that. Look at that. What is that? Look, these stones are massive. Stones. These walls are massive. Hey, Paul, the planks of wood? Sure. It could be petrified styrofoam for all we know, right? We just don't know what we're looking at, and we don't know what it was before this. But again, whatever this was, they couldn't have it hanging out on the outskirts of Situate, New England, right? Because this thing must have been insane. Because even with the technology, they didn't do a very good job of disguising it. Don't you agree? It's not disguised very well. Look at this thing. They see a pyramid top right on it. Throw that there. Boof, boof. Oh, you broke the top off. Whatever. This guy tells me this happened in 1982. Okay? So that's what the normies think. Oh, yeah, he's sure. So that's why I didn't want to put him on, because I don't even want to say anything bad about him. He didn't mean no harm in telling me what he thinks he knows, right? I mean, that's the way it is. Look at the stone. I mean, like I said, I know I keep repeating myself. I could pause it at any given second. And if it was just rocks, would I be questioning it? No, but this isn't. I'm just being polite, so I'm distracted. Look at the bottom of that. That thing was hinged so it was clipped in. I mean, a lot of these were. I wish those people weren't there, because it's got really fascinating over there. But it's not my beach. Look at this thing. Planks of wood, styrofoam, steel. I think there's a lot of metal in this. I think there's a lot of metal in these rocks. or whatever they've petrified into, or if that's the right word. I mean, we don't really have much of a. I mean, even AI doesn't know where rock jetties come from. Look at the scale of these giant rocks. This isn't in the middle of some jungle, right? This isn't this is a friggin' ruins right here in Massachusetts. A ruins. A colossal ruin. Like that one that was on the side to the left, I think that was a piece of metal. Did you see how it was all bent? I think there's a lot of rust out here. The water and the background noise is very calming, though. That's for sure. Look at flat, giant, and then all the ones on the side are like a crumble. I don't know if that was by design or accident or how this happens. See, I'm trying to get, like, it looks like a layered cake. Like there's some rust on the top, and then there's a different material, and then there's a different material under that. See? The colors change drastically. It's almost like there was separate, like maybe there was an outer metal, I don't know. The rock jetties to control the water. It's to break the water. That's what they claim. And it's almost like they dumped it. Like, see, this is different layers. Like, there's some brick in there, and then there's some facading, and you could even call some of it melted. But there's different layers on some of this stuff. Not all of it, you know. Not all of it's all crazy, but there's some very interesting. Could be wood though. That could be like supports. Who knows? See, I'll show it again. I'm pretty sure. See, there's layers on this, like a cake. And then you got your service lines or whatever. I don't know. I'm just, I'm just bullshitting. But dynamite holes. The only thing is we don't see, and I know it's been in the water for a really long time. I get it, but we don't see. Well, I mean, some of it does look crispy, actually, but I can't make any determinations. I'd have to go back there a bunch of times because it has been sitting in water for a long time, right? And I don't know if the water comes up over this jetty. I don't know. I probably should, right? Yeah. Well, maybe it's logical that it does, but I don't know. I just had to go out there and check out this rock jetty because I always wondered about it. And there's a lot of it, right? It's not small. This goes on and on and on. Yeah. It would be interesting to hear his take on it. I mean, some of this stuff is clearly not even flat square rocks. A lot of it's like you can't even determine what, like, why does a rock look like that? You're gonna have to tell me that's a rock? You see that rock? I should have stopped because it has a good example of two different layers. But just look at all the right angles in all this. That's why I'm filming. You might think, oh, the little ones are dumb. No, the little ones give it away. And what kind of materials are these? Is some of this metal? Wood? Paper mache? You know, I don't know what happened here. Look at this melted thing. Somebody's beanbag chair turned up over in Situate. Look at this one down here. To the right. I mean, to the left down. Yeah, like I said, I already said it a million times. Is that, what kind of material is that? It almost looks cracked like wood, but it's very interesting. What's this? Look at this. Some of it I didn't keep the camera on long. Okay, that's the end of the second part. And we've been at it for a while, so I think I'm going to go. I'll probably put the other videos of the rocks that I see. Or maybe I'll do another live stream next weekend for the rest of the Situate Rock Jetty. Look at this thing that we're looking at right on the screen right now to the... I guess it's your left. It's my left. You know, rocks. All right. Anyhow, guys, thanks very much for showing up. And I hope we can do it again sometime.